Hey, what's up, family? Welcome to the Inspired by Christ podcast. I'm your host, Kourtney Goff. I'm excited. Today, we're going to be having another genuine conversation with regular, everyday people to inspire people to come closer to Christ. And today, we have a wonderful guest. Her name is Domonique. She's Chicago's emotional intelligence expert, mother,
Yes.
author. Come on, the list just goes on and on. If you want to connect with somebody, this is the person to connect with. So I'm really excited to have you on today. Yeah, how are you doing?
Busy, busy. After I leave this, I have two more events that I have to go to today, and I was supporting someone right before here. So I'm just going from place to place.
Uh,
Lord got my steps, be a lamp unto my feet because I'm on today.
that's what's up. Because you a hot commodity. Everybody trying to get you on their list so we can have you on it. So I appreciate you. I know the fans, you guys watching, everybody is gonna enjoy the content as well. Like I said, she has a lot of wisdom. So I'm looking forward to this discussion that we have today. So kicking it off, just to get to know you a little bit of background. Like I said, you're a mother. So that's the first question I have for you. So what is your favorite part about being a mom and motherhood for you?
Mhm. My favorite part of it, my favorite part, I think it's also like one of the more difficult pieces, right? But my favorite part is watching little me's grow up,
Mhm.
seeing little me out here in the world. Like one of my common sayings, or what people call in my circle, they call them domisms, right? I always
Mhm.
tell people, especially when I meet them for the first time, it's very difficult to discipline the you out of your child, right? And so,
Mhm.
like, the things oftentimes that you don't like about them or the stuff that they have trouble with are the same things that you struggle with. And it's like, oh my gosh, like it really is just like seeing yourself grow up all over again. And it helps you to understand the frustration that your parents had when you were growing up, because all we really want to do is to get ahead of it. Like, baby, you don't have to do it that way. If you
Yeah.
listen to me, I got some experience, and my children are my children. They are like me and they're headstrong and have
Uh-huh.
to figure things out on their own. So I think if I had to pick like the most favorite part, that probably sounds a little conceited.
It's a part
It's
about
like,
you.
yeah, but it's just really fascinating to see, if I take myself out of it, how like the generations continue to exist through the like passing of DNA. Because the same things that they engage in are the same things that I did and my mom did and my grandma did and all these things, or the people before us. But I
Mhm.
think that awareness also is what helps us to break generational curses. So
Come on.
I'm excited about that too.
I agree 1000%. I just had this conversation the other day with one of my homeboys. I was just saying that how, we try to have those conversations because we like, okay, don't do that, don't do that. And then it's like, you know what? It make you pick up the phone and call your parents and say, you know what? I
Mhm.
apologize for how I was as a child because now I
Yes.
understand what it's like to be a father, to be a husband. Like, and now you're like, okay, I understand. Now you get the full picture. And then again, my talked to my dad about it. He was saying like it's you never stop being a parent. As much until they get older, you're still gonna be their parent. So you still evolving in that parenthood. So that's just a funny thing. I agree with you 1000% with that one. Um, so then what about I read your bio now. I see that you're originally from Detroit. So now
Mhm.
so look, Detroit's in the house. Look, I always think about Martin. That's one of my favorite shows growing up. And so I always just think about that. But then now you reside in Chicago. So now I lived in Chicago
Mhm.
for probably about 4 or 5 years. So now I got a question for you. Like, do you like Detroit style pizza or deep dish pizza from Chicago?
So let's just say, okay, number one, with these this or that questions, I must name I am a Libra and I have difficulty making decisions like that. So I want to say that first.
Uh-huh.
Also, pizza is not really my jam, but I do
Okay.
eat it. And so if I have to think about Detroit style pizza, would be like Jets versus like
Correct.
deep dish here in Chicago, which is like Giordano's. I think I would pick Detroit style pizza.
Okay.
If I had to choose between the two, and not just because I'm from there, but maybe it's because I'm from there. Who knows? But that's what I'm gonna say my preference is.
Look, and that because I love I'm again I'm from Rochester, New York, so I love New York pizza, upstate pizza to be specific. So for me, I'm the same way, but I live in Chicago. I do like the deep dish pizza; it's real good.
Mhm.
But I haven't had too much of the Detroit pizza, but I know that that's a big thing. One of my good friends is from Detroit, and he always talk about Detroit pizza, and I'm like, all right, okay, okay.
Uh-huh.
So
It,
no,
it really is good. It
it
really is good.
really,
And I've had some friends come here to Chicago and try like Giordano's or Lou Malnati's, and
yeah,
they say it's like lasagna. Like
yeah.
they don't like that. And I'm like, okay, I mean it's cool, but
Mhm.
Jet's Pizza, you should try some if you haven't had any. It's really good.
I haven't had it. It's one of the block from us, and I have never tried it. So you know what? Just for you, I'm gonna go ahead and make sure I try it out because we always end up going with some more New York style. So I'm gonna check out the Jets Pizza. I haven't had it, but I had to check it out. So then, what about as far as your favorite gospel artist, or maybe even if it's not your favorite, because sometimes you might have so many. I know you said the Libra in you. What
Mhm.
about who your current person like? Oh, this person got to be on my playlist.
Well, so I'm an old school girl. I'm almost 40, right? So I play a lot of like things that the same things over and over, right? So one of the songs that I was listening to on repeat over the last couple of days is from Smokey Norfolk.
Mhm.
I Need You Now. So I'm a Smokey Norfolk
Yes.
fan.
Yep. I know that
Um,
song.
Mary Mary is big for me because they make music that touches your heart, but also that you can like vibe to. And it gets my children like up and moving in the car. So they love those. It's the God in me,
Yeah,
right? Those ones.
yep, yep.
And then I have to make sure that I pay homage to my Detroit people. So I'm thinking about like the Clark sisters and Karen Clark Sheard.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, their range. Woo!
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just what they can do with their instrument. That's what I'll call it. I don't even want to downplay it and just call it their voice, but what they're able to do with their instrument is immaculate. So I can always listen to some Kier Sheards or Clark Sheards or the Clark sisters. Like that's my
Okay.
jam.
See, I'm the same way too. I would listen to the same songs over and over. And when me and my wife first met, she was like, "You listen to the same gospel." I used to listen to Fred Hammond. That was the only person I knew existed in gospel. I just would listen to him, all his old albums, just back to back to back. And she's like, "You got to explore." So I done got a little bit better with listening to some other people. But to your point, I like my tracks. I know they're gonna get me there spiritually where I'm trying to get to. So
That's it.
I don't
That's
play
it.
around with that. But then also too, the other part you said is about the kid aspect. I feel like that's
Mm-hmm.
a big thing because sometimes you could go on social media and you see a kid reciting a rap song or trap song, and they like, "Oh, how's that kid doing that?" Or why is that parent allowing that? So that's the power of the words and what you put in your kids. So we do the same thing. Like we get up in the morning, that gospel music playing while we getting ready for school, and then you
Come
catch
on.
them throughout the day in the bath. They singing the songs. Rain, like our daughters, they were singing "Rain Down on Me." Like they were singing,
Uh-huh.
not the
The
stuff,
Sunday
the
service.
Sunday service and
Uh-huh.
those type of tracks. So again, giving them those words of encouragement and affirmation at the same time. So I agree with you. The last get to know you question. So what is the current show that you're binge watching right now, or maybe a podcast that you've been watching right now? Just to know a little bit of that. That was an instant laugh. So it must be something you watching that you probably don't want nobody to know about, but it's coming. What you watch?
Mine because one thing about Dominique, I am going to show up authentically in every space that I
Talk,
occupy.
talk
Okay.
about it.
So
Talk
I'm from
about it.
Detroit. I was born and raised in the hood. I'm a little
Uh-huh.
ratchety sometimes, right? So we know this. So I like to watch Black people on TV. Okay. So the show that I am it's not from Tubi. It's not from Tubi.
It's
I'm gonna
not
say
too
that.
big.
It
It's
is
not
from
too big.
BET Plus though. And
Okay.
it is a Tyler Perry series. I am
Uh-huh.
binge watching Sisters. Are you
Oh,
familiar with
yes.
Sisters?
My wife, my dad, everybody, they all watch the show. And sometimes I peek around the corner to watch it. Sometimes. But I'm like with the girl on there, I'm kind of like lost with her because I'm like, she been pregnant for like 3 seasons. I'm like, when is she
Oh
gonna have
yeah.
a baby? So every time I pop up, my wife like, be quiet, because you don't even know what's going on. So yeah, she
Yeah.
watched the same one. So I peek in there from time to time to catch it. That's a
Yeah.
good one. A lot of people watching that one. All
Yeah.
right. So, all right, we got through the questions to get to know you. So now we're going to transition to those four core questions. So, what made you give your life to Christ?
So when you sent me that to think about, as we age, we kind of just like move on, like you just experience life and like go day by day or moment by moment, but you don't really reflect. So to reflect on this question, like it was very like sweet and nostalgic, right? I grew up in the church always. Shout out to my grandmother, Catherine Juanita Wilkins, who raised me. She's not with us anymore, but she gave me that initial church foundation. And I remember getting baptized when I was in like early elementary school. Like I have always been this big bright light, I guess you would say. So I would do like the welcomes at church, or like I'm speaking, or like things like that. And I got baptized very young. I remember standing in the baptism pool, freezing cold because the water was so cold. He
Mhm.
said so many things about, I don't even know what he said, but then we went under the water. I came up, I'm like, thank you, Lord, I'm out. Right. So that's as a child.
Yes, yeah.
But my when I first like really experienced him for myself was my freshman year in college, right when I got to Hampton University.
Mhm.
I joined a church that a few of my band friends were going to.
Mhm.
And immediately, like I think the very first Sunday that I went, Pastor Govan, her name was Dorothy Govan. I went up at the end for altar call and prayer, and she like laid her hand on my stomach, and I caught the Holy Spirit for the first time. And it's like, oh, I'm about to cry, like thinking about it. But she just kept saying, like, there's so much in your belly, like come out, come out, come out. And it
Mhm.
was like a very like intense experience. And I
Wow.
was joking to myself about it. I was like, God, you ain't let me have the typical college experience that other people have. You know, like I did my fair share of things, but like I was not
Right.
wild out here in these streets because of that, you know.
Mhm.
And when I think about the reason why I gave my life to Christ, I can, and even back then, I have been able to clearly see his hand on my life from the time that I was like really born, even up until like when I had that first encounter. And
Mhm.
so it's like, why deny that? You know,
Right.
like why deny being covered by the blood? Why deny unconditional agape love? Why deny favor and being able to skip the line and I don't have to go through? Like, why?
Come on.
It, you know, it doesn't make sense to deny that. And so if I can clearly see it, even though it's not like you don't see him walking hand in hand with you, but I can see the steps that he has ordered for me, the doors that he has opened for me, the ways that he has made for me. Like why deny it? Like it's just like the obvious choice. So I try to learn, you know, instead learn by this is new though. I try to learn from seeing and not by doing. I used to have to learn by doing, you know, but just why deny him?
Yes, and I agree, and I think to your point, a lot of times, especially in our younger years, a lot of people are scared to proclaim that they are followers of Christ
Mhm.
because they feel like one, we often judge other people. Two,
Yeah.
we don't want to be judged because if I say I'm a follower of
Mhm.
Christ and then now I'm in the club and I'm doing this, I'm drinking, I'm doing whatever, now people gonna be saying, "Oh, you a hypocrite." So I feel like that is a big part of it. But to your point, why go through that long line when you could take the easy pass where God can say, like how you were saying in the beginning with your daughter, hey, I'm telling you what to do. So you
Yeah.
don't have to go through this. Same thing for us. You know, when we go through those experiences in life, why go through those trials? Like if you don't have to, and God say, hey, if you just do what I tell you to do, this path gonna be far better. And sometimes we just it's hard, like you said just a few seconds ago. Sometimes we got to go through it to realize don't do it. We sometimes we don't take that advice, whether it's from other people, reading, or just whatever in life, learning from other people. Sometimes it's easier, not easier. It's we choose to learn from going through the experience. So no, I agree with you, and I just had to chime in on that because I like that stance what you said because so many people naturally have that experience.
And then something that I learned, like just being in relationship with him, the Bible is clear, it's just a blueprint, right? In there, every situation that we go through, there's a way to handle it that's written in the Bible, right? So like why am I gonna go and try to be headstrong and figure it out by myself when he's already laid it out for me, you know? So
That's a
yeah.
fact. Like I said, I was listening to, I think that was a scripture yesterday I was listening to. It says nothing new under the sun. Like
Yes.
this is just rinse and repeat. So it's like,
Yes.
I think you got a new idea. No, that already happened. Like you just don't know the person that
Mhm.
did it. You ain't found it. It's already out there. So I agree with you 1000%. So then now, how does Christ inspire you when you think about you as being emotional intelligence expert and being a mother, being an author? How does Christ inspire you to be who you are?
Man, I'm calling myself the emotional intelligence expert, but he really is the emotional intelligence expert, because I think that's one of the things that inspires me the most about his work is the peace and the calmness that he has been able to exude even in difficult situations, right? The first thing that I admire the most is that agape love, because I learned a long time ago that my purpose here on earth is to love. And
Mhm.
that's not like that romantic googly eyed love, like, even though I'm really good at that too, right? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like being patient and kind and not self-seeking and honoring others and not boasting and all those other things. Like, that is my purpose. And I feel like him coming here on earth in the flesh with us, right? He was a perfect example of that, right? I love the fact that he was disciplined. I think about all of the hardships and the difficult challenges and time frames that he had to go through. And instead of like trying to in his human nature be strong, he would consecrate himself. He would isolate and go away for 40 days in prayer and fasting in order to be filled, so that by the time he comes out of that, he's not pouring from an empty cup. He's actually giving off the overflow,
Mm.
right? So like those are ways that I aspire to live my life. Like I aspire to be, regardless of who you are to me, what it is that you do to me, I aspire to be a soft place to land. And that is not always easy to do, right? And so I want to
Oh.
be that for people, even the ones that upset me. Now, there are a couple of people, if you see that, I don't apologize, because you probably deserve, the part of me that you got back then. However, I am really working to hold on to that, because a lot of the times when we get like the brunt of someone else's like uncomfortable emotions, I don't want to call them negative emotions, because no emotion is negative. They are comfortable or uncomfortable. So
Mhm.
when we get like the brunt of the anger or the sadness or the fear, it typically has nothing to do with us.
Mhm.
Right. And we need to be kind to other people because they're going through stuff that we don't even know about. So I
Exactly.
apologize, I'm the recipient of it right now, but I'm not the catalyst of your feelings. And I just really admire the fact that he understood that. I believe that the path that he knew he was going to take, right, and knowing whose he was and all of these things gave him the confidence and ability to remain peaceful in uncomfortable situations. And that's something that I absolutely 100% aspire to be like.
I love so many different things that you just said, just popped up into my mind. But the one thing that comes back, like when you're talking about Christ and him coming down and just being that perfect example for us, is like the empathizing, because
Mm-hmm.
he put himself, every situation, circumstances that we go through, he's like, oh, I've been there, I know what that feel like. So
Yeah.
I'm telling you that you could do it, but you can't do it by yourself. You got to do it with me. We can do all
Mm-hmm.
things through Christ who strengthens us. So it's like we have to be connected to the source. And so
That's
to me,
it.
when I hear that, that just makes me, again, just as you said, like the love that God has, that he did that for us. To me,
Mm-hmm.
that's again like the inspiration, like, because it's like the love goes back to, you say, you're gonna be a soft place, like for people to land on. So, and I know, like you said too, sometimes we get people the brunt, sometimes we get that to people, we got to cut people off. But one of the things that I've learned in life is that you can still love people, but love them from a distance. So you
That's
might,
right.
in my proximity, where you have my phone number, you know where I live, you come over, you can open the fridge. But then, okay, now you ain't that far. You can still have my number, you might have my email, might have my instant message, but we ain't not getting far as close with the proximity, because now I have to utilize my discernment. I'm not gonna
That's
allow
it.
it to hurt me, but I'm gonna use my discernment. So that's one of the things that I do as a best practice. So I know exactly what you're talking about. Sometimes you gotta put
Mm-hmm.
people at bay. So no, I appreciate that. So then now, what about for the person who's on the fence? Like maybe, like you said, you grew up in church and I know God, but then now I go to college, I'm in high school or I'm after college, and I just want to live my life. I don't want to follow these rules. Or maybe a person that never had a connection with God. Like, I heard about God, I heard about Jesus, I don't really know. What advice or inspiration will you have to share with somebody that's like, hey, should I give my life to Christ?
Mm-hmm. I think that is a very like poignant question, especially in today's society, because lots of people are moving away from Christ.
That's
And
true.
so my advice or inspiration or push that I would give to someone who is curious around that is to draw near to God and he will draw near to you, right? Like just be open. Like there have been time frames in which all of us have really kind of been out there in the wilderness, like doing our things. I remember it's important for me to not confuse people who are looking to me as an example. So right, I don't want to be lukewarm, right? It's either I'm hot, I'm on fire, or I'm cold, right? Like that's how I used to operate.
Mhm.
But I understand now that God made me, right? He knows exactly who I am. And all it takes is for me to just take a couple of steps. And he's like, oh, baby, I've been waiting on you. Come on. And I'm about to swoop
Oh,
you right on in, right? So like that's the first piece that I would say. And then something else I would say is that he is not only a God that is disciplining us or that restricts what we call freedom, right? Because there is freedom in Christ that may look a little different than what you are expected to, but there's freedom that is there. So I cannot say this enough. He is a God of agape, unconditional love. And to experience the intimacy of Christ is like none other, right? So don't deny yourself of that, right? Don't allow the perversion of the faith by people who are supposed to be leaders in the faith
correct.
deter you from getting to know God and Christ for yourself. Do some studying, draw near to him. He's gonna draw near to you and swoop you right on up. So that's my piece.
I love that. I love the way that you frame that up. And one of the things I was talking with one of my friends about, because like oftentimes people would say like, man, I went to this church and man, I don't like what they was doing there, and I ain't going to church no more. And I'm like, I talked to one of my dogs about it. So I'm like, yo, when we used to go to the clubs and they was fighting, shooting, stabbing people, we didn't stop going to the club. We just went to the club down the street or the one across town. I was like, so why are you saying you're not gonna go to church no more? He was like, yeah, you right, bro, you right. So it's like you just have to again, and that's how the devil tries to pervert our mind to say, okay,
That's
I
it.
had that experience. I'm not going to church no more. I don't like church people. But it's like, okay, hold on. Let's try another one. You got to try the one and find the one that fits and work for you and then
That's it.
build from there. So I agree with that. Like that happens sometimes where, people get a little church hurt, but you got to find the right place for you, and every place ain't the right place for everybody. So,
That's it.
so yeah, I just had to chime in to say that one. Then now, for the last one, what's your favorite Bible verse and why?
So I'm gonna have to say my favorite Bible verse in this season, right? Because like there are scriptures that carry you through different seasons of your life. And it's two that I picked, but the one of them you actually said earlier is the Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength, because the call on my life is big and mighty, right? So I have to push past that fear and be like, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Or I just started working with a personal trainer this week. So as I'm in there trying to lift my body, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Or I told y'all earlier that I am a mom of a teenager and a 9-year-old. So as they are trying me, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. So it's something that I have to have on repeat because it reminds me, like I can do this. It feels difficult. It feels impossible, but feelings are not facts. So that's, the one that's coming up as number one. And then my second one that I teach to my children very early too. You know how kids wake up in the middle of the night, they're like, Mom, Dad, I had a nightmare, or like something. So the scripture that I teach them very early on is God did not give me a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind. And we talk about what that power means. Like that's the strength. Again, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength, love, which is our purpose here anyway. And we talk about that. And then that sound mind is the mental health piece. You can make good choices, right? You can take care of yourself. You can do all of these things. Your mind is intact. Is it intact? It's intact. So that's the second one that I would pick. That Second Timothy, I think it's like 1:7, something like that. The God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and of a sound mind.
Yes, I love that scripture as well, and that's even one of my songs. And I think he from Detroit, Dietrich Haddon.
Oh yeah.
Song that he got, I love his songs too. He got a song that he talks basically it's that whole verse, and he just has a song. God is not giving me the spirit of I
Uh,
ain't gonna
but
sing.
power and
Power and
love and a
love is
sound
not mine.
mind.
Yeah,
I
that's my
declare.
yeah.
We about
Come
to have
on,
choir practice on here.
don't get me started because I cannot sing. I ain't even gonna try. But that's my song right there because I love that because again, going back to music or the things that we watch, it comes back. That's spiritual food to us. So I try my best to be cognizant of the things that I'm listening to for that reason. Because then now, if I'm later on, I'm cooking or I'm working out, I'm saying those lyrics, but that's
That's
again
it.
giving me the power, giving me the sound mind. So again, our words have so much power. So look, we're getting close to the end, but I also want to just open it up to you. Is there any other inspiration or that you have that you want to share with people, or even just even another testimony, anything that you want to share before we close out?
Um, what am I gonna say? The first thing that comes up, oh wow, okay. So one of another domism, right, that my friends call it, is relationships drive results. And I feel like right now we are in a culture that likes to cancel people, or that you're so quick to cut somebody off if they are not doing exactly what it is that you want them to do. And I want to tell people that it is important for you to be in community. The enemy thrives in isolation, and that is his whole entire goal, to pull you away from your people so that he can get you in this echo chamber of your own thoughts. Resist that as much as possible. Find tools that help you to resolve conflict, improve your emotional intelligence. Holler at me if you need
I
a
was about
coach.
to say
Buy
that.
my book. You know, I
Come
got one
on,
right here. It's
come
the
on, come
journal.
on.
It's called The Container. I created that to help us heal from the things that we hide from other people, because oftentimes we feel like if we share information with them that they're going to betray us by throwing it in our face, right? Do not let the enemy put that in your mind, because he comes to steal, kill, and destroy. So you remember, relationships drive results, whether that is a professional relationship, a personal relationship, a familial type of relationship. All of those things are important, and community is also important. You should not be in isolation.
I love that. I love that. And also too, for the people that want to get connected with Dom, give them your handles and stuff so that people can be able to find you, your website. And then give them a little brief overview of what you do so that now people can reach out to you. I'm telling you guys right now, I don't bring people on here that I do not pump with. I pump with Dom. She does what she does and she's professional, but not only that, she's a woman of God. So just give them your handles and stuff like that so people can be able to reach out to you and engage with you, knowing exactly what you provide.
So I'll start with my website because that's going to be easy. My website is www.ucanation.com. UCA stands for Urban Community Alliance, and that is the name of my organization. The whole mission of the work that I do is to heal urban communities from the generational trauma that we have experienced. And I do that through a focus on communication and emotional resilience building. So ucanation.com. If you're looking to connect with me and get some laughs and fashion and Jesus and all of that stuff, you can follow me on Instagram. My name is spelled with two O's, right? Domonique. So it's at underscore Domonique Natasha. And my business Instagram, you'll be able to find in the bio from that too. You can also find me on Facebook at Domonique Natasha. I try to make all of my handles the same across the board so that you can easily find me, but we're UCA Nation on all platforms as well.
Awesome, awesome. Look, I want to just say thank you again for coming on. I appreciate you. This was a great conversation. I know it's going to inspire many, many people. And again, y'all got her information. So if y'all want to connect with her, reach out to her. Like I said, she's an awesome person. That's why I had to bring her on here. And yeah, so that wraps us up. So I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Make sure that you like, subscribe, share with your family and friends. You never know who needs it. Peace out.